So to lower the sails, the headsail is fairly straightforward. It's just the reverse of pulling it out, basically, of raising it. So the idea there is I just steer a particular course. The boat's again on a particular course with the headsail out and the mainsail out, and I pull in on the furling line, which is attached to the roller, and at the same time I release the sheet. So it's a double-handed action again, pulling in on the furling line, releasing the sheet at the same time so that the sail rolls up. And of course, again, controlling the motion of the boat, using my knees or some just hoping that it stays straight and just compensating with my legs or knees as needed.
There's not that much to see here. Here I'm just getting the furling line off the railing in preparation, and I start pulling that in as I release the headsail sheet. You can see I start pulling it in now. It goes fairly smoothly. The furler is new, so it's and it's quite good quality, so it goes quite easily. And that is the end of that. The headsail is now in, and now I just cleat off the furling line.
The mainsail is a different story. The mainsail does not lead back to the cockpit. The halyard is at the mast. So the idea here is again to go into the wind, so that the sail starts flapping, and we're motoring. The motor's on, so we're motoring into the wind. And then it's the same problem really as raising, and maybe even a little bit worse. I've got to run or walk to the mast. Again, no auto tiller, no wind vane, so it's a question of timing. Get there and pull on the topping lift so that the boom doesn't fall, and release the mainsail halyard reasonably slowly enough that I can basically get the sail to fall on the boom, and hopefully I can fold it nicely, concertina that nicely onto the boom, and then put straps around to fasten it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to make sure that the sail is not going to fly away. It's not going to come off the boom. Now the risk here, of course, again is the same. The boat is going to turn away from the wind. That's what a boat does. The front moves more than the back. It's easier to turn than the back. So it will naturally move away from the wind, and so if I'm not quick enough, the boom will end up at here, and maybe then the wind will be from the side, and then the whole sail could be dragging in the water. So again, it's a question of timing and trying to do it fast enough before the boat does that.
So I start by moving the boat up into the wind with the motor on, slowly motoring into the wind. You can see I'm moving up here, and of course the mainsail starts to flap around quite wildly, and this happens. So when the camera fell over, I guess it was knocked over by the mainsail sheet I didn't actually see why it fell over, but it fell over. I had no time to set it up again. I was already on the way to the mast, so I just put the camera on the bench and I ran to the mast. And so I've got no footage of actually lowering the sails. So all I can do really is sort of take you through it, and you can see the aftermath in a minute. So what I did is I walked to the mast, and I started lowering the halyard, dousing the sail. And of course my worst fears started to happen. The boat was motoring on its own into the wind, and of course at some point it starts veering off because there's no self-steer, there's no automatic steering. So the boat starts to turn a little bit, and so I have to be pretty quick. The boom is now moving out to the side. It's no longer in line with the boat, it's moving out to one side. So I did have to kind of rush dropping the sail. Normally we'd do it a lot slower with someone at the helm. And I sort of had to manhandle the sail so that it wouldn't go over the side. So, you know, the wind was trying to blow it over the side. I just sort of reached across, grabbed it and pulled it over the boom onto the boat, very sloppily, and very quickly lowering the sail as fast as possible. And so I ended up with this massive of sail that wasn't neatly piled up at all. It wasn't neatly folded. It was just a mess, but at least it wasn't overboard. It was on the boom, around the boom, and so I quickly put the Velcro straps around. Those Velcro straps are really good. They're quite long, and so you can really just, even if it's not neatly tied up, you can quickly get one around and sort of fix it to the boom. And so I was able to do that. By the end the boat was sort of, I can guess, at a 30 to 45 degree angle to the wind by the time I'd finished. And so yeah, that was it pretty much. Once I had that done, I was pretty safe, even though it was awful the way I'd folded it up. And of course I just left that actual folding until I got back into the marina. You can see it's quite a mess, the sail on the boom. It is actually tied down, and I was actually really worn out by it, as you can see there, very red in the face. Just wrestling with the sail was quite a lot of work, and the result isn't great, as you can see, but it is actually on the boom. And at this point I realised, okay, it's actually not completely down. I should really pull down that last bit of sail, and that's where I go to the mast here to pull down the last bit of sail. Then it's just a question of getting ready to go back into the marina. Here I am putting out the fenders, tying the fenders on, and then pulling them under the bottom rail so that if I need to, I can kick them out quickly. And of course, all this little work that usually is shared amongst the crew, you have to do all yourself when you're soloing, when you're single-handing. Here I am pulling out the big loops that I like to use to get into the marina. So I put these two big loops at the back that go under the rails and back in board. So here I am, get back into the box and putting these big loops over the back poles, the poles at the stern end of the boat. The boat's pretty still at this point. And you can see I had wind here from behind, from the stern, so I could sort of let the wind push me into the box, and I was just controlling it with these back two lines that I'd put over with these big loops. So just sort of using that to straighten the boat up. It actually went a lot better than the first time I tried this. I just used those mooring lines to secure the boat initially, and then I grabbed the permanent lines and replaced the mooring lines with those. Same with the front, because I had the wind from astern, the boat was pretty stable. I could just walk up there, grab the permanent lines that I have there, and just put them over the cleats. Having done all that, having secured the boat, it was a question of fixing up the mess I'd made with the sail, and even this is quite a lot harder with one person than with two. Usually you can do a neat fold by having one person at each end of the sail. Trying to do it on your own is a bit of a hassle, a bit difficult to do it neatly. So I pushed it off to one side, then tried to fold it up neatly onto the boom. You can see it doesn't go that great, but it's certainly better than what I had. So pulling the Velcro straps around. These straps I can really recommend. They find them very easy to work with, and they hold really tight. They're nice and long. So yeah, just moving up the sail a piece at a time, putting on the straps. That was pretty much it. Once the sail was on, it was just a question of putting on the cover and closing up the boat. So it was all done, and next time we'll try to get into some actual tacking and jibing, I think.